Good afternoon. My name's Sean Coran. I'm the Executive Director at Florida Carry. Last year at this conference, Charles Huller from Arizona, he stood at this podium and he told all of you to call him, that he would help you to form your own state organizations or to improve the one that you already have. What he didn't tell you then was that he was already helping others. He was helping us. In 2010, we're working on a lot of legislation here in the state of Florida. And you think Florida is the gunshine state. We've had concealed carry since 1987. We have reciprocity with most of the country. We have preemption statewide. Why would we need another gun rights organization here, especially one that's not, the NRA is doing a pretty good job. Why would we need a non-affiliated one? Well, there were still some problems here. The right to bear arms in Florida was killed in 1989. They said that your concealed carry license is only a privilege, not a right. In 1987, they also banned open carry. So concealed carry is banned, open carry is banned, and if you have a concealed carry license, it's only a privilege, which can be taken away at the whim of the legislature. They can charge whatever fee they want. They can impose whatever training requirement they want. If you're poor, there's no exception to the fees. So there was a problem there, and we seek to secure what the right is. And NRA said, well, there's no problem. We have the best concealed carry license program in the country. Probably, but where's the right? At the same time, we had preemption. It had been on the books for the same 25 years, almost 25 years at that point. However, it had no teeth. There was no way to go out and enforce that law. So everything was still left in the hands of local bureaucrats who said, there's no penalty for breaking the state law and enacting our own gun control in my county. So I'm going to do it. Who's going to sue me? Well, the NRA actually did. They sued the city of South Miami once. It cost them $260,000. They didn't get any of that money back when they won. And they got one law taken off the books. 25 years later, we still had gun bans in all kinds of places where they shouldn't have been banned under state law. People still faced a patchwork of laws. So Rich Nazcak was working on the preemption issue. I was working on the right to carry issue. And we all, yes, we're from the internet. And we decided, thank you. I'm supposed to ignore him too. And we'd get on the web forums and use this new wonderful media that we have so that we could go out and find people from across the state. And Florida is a very large state who couldn't normally meet and be able to exchange ideas. And what we rapidly figured out was we needed to do two things. We needed to lobby the legislature, and we needed to lobby the NRA here in Florida because, well, they have a very good lock on what's going on in Tallahassee, but nowhere else throughout the state. We also need to grow a grassroots organization. That's something that is not effectively leveraged by many organizations. And especially in a state like ours, which, again, is a huge state. Phil from VCDL, they have these lobby days that we so want to emulate, and I'm going to be picking your brain on that more later. It's harder to do here in Florida. It takes, I think, 7 hours to drive from Miami, our biggest population center, to the state capitol. And in Virginia, I don't think it takes 7 hours to... No, from Marion it does. But we needed to really engage this local grassroots organizations so that we could have people in Miami, we could have people in Tallahassee, we could have people fighting in Tampa, and that voice just wasn't out there. There wasn't a single group that was bringing together all of our local activists who wanted to get out there and do something other than just send an email. It's very easy to stand behind a keyboard and type. It's not very easy to get out, put yourself out there and really do this type of work. With the help of VCDL, Arizona CDL, the guys from opencarry.org, and a few other groups, we put our group together. We're here to pay that forward. There's no reason that there aren't 50 sister organizations for us represented in this room. We have some excellent organizations that we work with throughout the state, but we could use one in every state. And Puerto Rico, there should be 51. The successes we've had, and we've passed our fixes to preemption. We're fighting in the courts right now for our fixes to the right to bear arms. We're fighting in the courts for at least being able to have your gun in your car when you park in a university campus. We would not have been able to do any of this had we not put together a core group. We went out there and looked for people who were just as passionate as we were. Rich and I got together, we recruited this core group that could make us, or that could support us in putting together this organization, which with just a few months of work, we wound up with 150 people openly carrying and fishing on a pier in Florida. Nothing like that had been done in any history ever. Once you light a fire under certain people who you're going to be able to reach out there and identify within your state and tell them, hey, there's work to be done. We need you to push away from the keyboard, get up out of the armchair, and come out and do something for the right to bear arms, and give them just a little bit of direction. Hey, I have an idea. Take in that feedback and really delegate out what people are working on. Once you put this grassroots together and really have these resources of people that say, yes, we want to do something, you're going to find that you have some people with some outstanding talent within your state. You're also going to find out that you have some people that don't have that much talent, but all of them can be useful. So it may be nothing more than going to their local legislators to ask them a few questions, drop off some materials, and send you back an email saying, hey, Representative Joe Snuffy loves what we're talking about doing with this bill. That's valuable information. We might find out that this representative wants what we want, but isn't willing to sponsor a bill for us, but would vote for it. That's huge when you're sitting there in committee trying to figure out whether or not you need to adjust the language of your bill to get it through. In this short time, putting this organization together, it really didn't take all that much work. Well, let me rephrase that. It didn't take all that many resources. It took a ton of work from a lot of dedicated people. But the resources necessary, if you say, oh, I could never put together an organization like that, I don't have any money. I don't have much money. I have a decent job that pays the bills. I don't have anything left at the end of the month. I live paycheck to paycheck. So do most of my board members. So do most of our members. So do most people in this economy, unfortunately. That's no bar to doing the things that need to be done here. And yes, cash is one of the largest limiting factors we have. We need the support of our members. We need paying members. We need donors. We need to win lawsuits. We don't like filing any lawsuits, and we don't need to win the lawsuits so much to make money off them. We need the money to win the lawsuits in order to get the money back that we had to put them in the first place. So if I can just leave you with one thought, I'm going to leave you with something that my co-executive director likes to say. When you look at the right to bear arms and things upset you, quit bitching. Pitch in. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brent Carlton, and I am the co-founder and president of Commonwealth Second Amendment, We're a Massachusetts-based grassroots organization, and our focus is primarily on strategic litigation and gun laws. We have a great state organization, the Gun Owners Action League, who deals with legislation and hunters' rights and youth development and conservation and all those things. But when we started this, we saw an opportunity to get involved on the other side of the equation a little bit. Massachusetts, as you know, or probably imagine, is one of the, 7 worst? Is that the number we're talking about? Yeah, exactly. We vie for who's really got it worse. It really changes on day to day from perspective. But it's actually kind of ironic when you think about it. I'm watching the Appleseed people out here, and what do they have on their T-shirts? April 19th, 1975, Concord, Massachusetts. And where do we go wrong? You know, if anything, we ought to be in the leading edge of this, right? Instead of trailing behind. So that's kind of what got us started here. If there's 2 things I'd like you to take away from this conversation about local organizations, it's first is that they're critically important to this overall effort. We have some great national organizations. We've worked with SAF quite a bit and a little bit with the NRA. But they are not a substitute for the local organizations. We provide very valuable things that they cannot possibly do. We cannot expect them to solve all of our problems for us. Secondly, if we can build an organization like this in Massachusetts with the demographic challenges we have, you can do it in your state as well. We're a small state. We have low levels or low rates of gun ownership, and yet we have what I would call a thriving and effective organization. Starting an organization like this is very much like starting a business or an entrepreneurial venture. You identify a need, a need in the marketplace. You create a plan how you're going to address that need, go-to-market strategy, and you execute on those things. And that's very much how we approached this task that we had here. What we recognized, and my co-founder Tom over here, and Rob Boudry is not here. He's out passing the hat in Massachusetts today for us, so we can afford to be here. We realized that none of this great litigation that was going on around the country was happening here, and yet we had what one could call a target-rich environment. And we sat there for, a little while going, why isn't somebody helping us? Why isn't SAF here? Why isn't NRA? Why isn't goal swinging these people? And we finally looked at each other one day and we said, we can do this. Let's do it. Okay, so we did it, and we started the organization. As a local organization, the important things that you bring to the table are local knowledge. We've been very fortunate to attract some good legal attention. We've had Alan Gura help us. We've had David Jensen help us. But there's only so much that they can take away from reading our laws and our court cases. There's a whole subtext under there that has to do with customs and practices and what really goes on. And they need your local information. They need to know your networks and who you're talking to and what really happens out there to truly be effective and avoid some of the problems that they have. The other thing is, as a local organization, you become, as we've become, an authority on the laws in your area. And so people come to you. Great. You can help them. You can mine them for good plaintiffs, right? Everybody knows this is about finding good plaintiffs and avoiding the ones that I think Don Kilmer was talking about, the pro se clients or the pro se plaintiffs and the not so good ones that create bad case law. And a local organization is absolutely critical for helping that to happen like that. In many ways, we are the least likely place for an organization like this to occur. We have very low rates of gun ownership. Going back to 1976, we actually had a ballot initiative to ban the private ownership of handguns. Fortunately, it failed, but ever since then, our legislative mandate and regulatory mandate has really been based on an assumption that private gun ownership is a serious and grave danger to public safety. And they've been enormously effective in driving gun ownership rates down to the point where, we could say we can't reproduce. There just aren't that many gun owners. Last couple of years, that's changed dramatically, and those new gun owners, huge numbers of them, are the backbone of our organization and our support. They are motivated. They're there. They're willing. It's happening everywhere, not just in Massachusetts. But these are the people you need to tap into, and they will be strong supporters of your organizations. So, get out there. If you're fortunate enough to have a state organization like Cal Guns or Com2A or Maryland shall issue or Florida carry, get involved with them. Ask them what you can do to help. Give them money. We're a tax-deductible organization. That was a high priority for us. Many of the others aren't. If you do not have an organization like that, think about starting one. It's not impossible to do. It's a little bit of work, but it's eminently doable, and there are plenty of resources here to help you and get you started, all the way from Second Amendment Foundation, which was absolutely critical in us getting started, as well as organizations like ours. And we'd be happy to help any one of you that'd like to get started. Thank you very much.
So first I want to digress. Gene Hoffman, chairman of the Cal Guns Foundation. We were talking earlier before this panel about the impact that losing in this election will have. Well, I want you to know that where you'll feel it the most is in every single federal district court and every single federal court of appeals and potentially at the Supreme Court. If one of the Heller Five were to be replaced by Mr. Obama, the best case scenario would be for us to shut the entire litigation machine down. If you think your rights are imperiled, understand the importance. Shifting back to what I'm here to talk to you about, California's a bit different, as my friend here already said. We do vie with New York, Massachusetts, for who's got it worst. I'd claim in some ways we do and in some ways we don't. But that meant that we had to build something a little different. First of all, California's a little bit bigger tent. For anything to get done in the legislative arena, a Democrat's going to be involved. The California legislature is about to go supermajority Democrat with a Democrat governor. We're very happy that our Democrat governor isn't completely pro-gun. Completely anti-gun. He's not reliable because we've certainly seen him sign things like a ban on unloaded open carry of both handguns and rifles. But on some of the crazier ideas like lost and stolen reporting, he just vetoed that. But because our laws are so Byzantine, we had innocent gun owners, people who had done nothing wrong, literally going to jail for possession of things that people would find completely common in the rest of the other 43 states. The 7 deadly. We built a self-defense organization. We basically were able to go and spend what is often a token amount of money, $2,000, $5,000, to defend people from things that aren't actually crimes. And in so doing, we were able to change, again, the culture on the ground at DAs, at police organizations. All of a sudden, the CHP is probably one of the best trained organizations in California, and that's because we continued to beat the snot out of them in court. But the other thing that was different about California, and it's something that's important about these new state organizations, Human Events had an excellent story the other day talking about Gun Culture 2.0. Gun Culture 2.0 is different. It's technologically savvy. It's younger. It starts to answer that question asked earlier about why aren't there more people under 30 in here. It's tattooed. It might even be Democratic. We're finding a very interesting take in Silicon Valley. When you think about gun control, it's technology limits. I'm sorry, you can't be trusted with that technology. It drives me nuts when some other technologists think that gun control is a good idea. And we're starting to see that actually go the other way. So people, for example, the guy who brought you unencrypted DVDs, DVD John, he is a massive leftist who argues with all of his Democratic friends about why they'd let the government not ban copyright technology, but then ban firearm technology. It's change. Understanding that change means the tent has to be wider. It has to be accepting for the pink pistols, for African Americans, for Hispanics. There was a debate around Stop SB 249, and I have to diverge just a second. In California, we created an item called the bullet button. It allows us to own ARs and AKs like everyone else does. That means that about 200,000 ARs and AKs have been bought in the last 18 months in California alone. But the summer was kind of a slow news period, and so Channel 5 in San Francisco, the local CBS affiliate, decided they'd muckrake. They snuck in illegally to a gun show that still does exist just outside of San Francisco, and were appalled at all of these really common semi-automatic rifles were being sold. So initially there was a bill to stop an add-on that is actually illegal to use in California, but of course when Aurora hit, the place where there'd be a new assault weapons ban would be California. And this takes me to something very important about California and the gun rights world as Gun Rights 2.0. We were able to build a grassroots organization immediately from a coalition that was already there and stop dead in its tracks a bill to ban millions of rifles in California. It was an online piece and it was an offline piece. And this goes to something you've heard before. The depth and quality of the volunteer community in these states is astounding. Okay, we had billboards in the sponsor's district within 7 days of the amendment of the bill. Think about that. And by the way, it wasn't free, but it might as well have been. You never know where the supporters for gun rights are. And in fact, that's one of the big things that these organizations end up doing is making it okay, taking away the shame. To all of a sudden say, yes, you know, I'm a venture capitalist, or I'm a technologist, or I'm a movie maker, and I am pro-gun. And I don't like my civil rights being attacked. We were honored today by the CCRKBA as Gun Rights Organization of the Year. That honor goes to a bunch of folks who actually do a ton of work. It's not the organization. It's folks like Brandon Combs, who we'll be hearing more about, who was instrumental in running the Stop SB 249 campaign. But it also goes to something that's very important about these organizations. We believe that the Saul Alinsky rules for radicals can be adopted by those of us who like guns. And when you look closely at what they say, they're extremely accurate and true. Look, one of the hardest things about Gun Rights 1.0 was it is conservatives for change. That's not normally words you put in the same place, but especially in Massachusetts, New York, Illinois, California, we have to change something. In certain cases, change them as a superminority, politically. Right? Well, the things that are important about Saul Alinsky's rules, you gotta make it fun for your people. I think this gets overlooked when people talk about, you know, why do certain organizations do a really good job? We like to come up with things that are fun, that our group of people enjoy, that are within their realm, and when they win. And by the way, winning is important. You've got to choose your battles to be able to win those battles, because when you can win those battles, those small victories are the steps on the road to major victories. So, Josh Berger, I'd like you to stand up for just a second. He's a board member of the Cal Guns Foundation. Josh is our resident Alinskyite. A couple years back, and this is a great example of what I'm talking about, the LCAV, which has since been renamed to an even harder to remember organization title, but it's basically a bunch of very liberal lawyers in California who are still shocked that someone might want to shoot their lawyer, built an organization that is all of the de facto bad municipal rules that you see municipalities ever adopt. Well, they were going to have a fundraiser, a kind of black tie event. And what a great opportunity for us to cause trouble. So we went on calguns.net, and thousands of people agreed that they would show up at this black tie fundraiser in San Francisco, open carrying and banners and protests, and the whole time everybody was getting private email saying, it's a hoax, don't show up. 13 San Francisco Police Department personnel showed up at the front door. 2 of our guys who didn't get the message did show up with cameras. And so we got this amazing output without actually even doing anything. Well within what is fun for our crowd. Well within our abilities. And now it has changed the level of respect on the other side, period. The amount of calling, the amount of local pain that we put on what are Democrat legislators to stop SB 249. Well, people understood that they were tangling with a very large number, 30 or 40,000 Californians who we can get to do something. Right? That's a big deal, because when you get 11,000 opposition letters when the average bill has about 8, right? Think about what that means and whether or not people really want to deal with that. So in final thought, there are 2 types of state gun rights organizations. There's the one in the Deadly 7. So those are the 6 states you know, D.C., the Marianas, and others, right? And then there's everywhere else. The free states. Well, in a lot of senses, the free states, you can have more fun. You know, don't forget to put shooting in. Don't forget to, like, barbecue, right? These are important things. Like, the camaraderie of being able to fight is as important as actually fighting. Because it can be a dark day. It was not fun in the middle of the 249 fight because we thought we were going to lose and lose big. But my God, imagine what it felt like when we won. Trust that you can do that. Now, if you're in one of those 7 deadlies, the good news is most of them have good organizations, but those organizations have to go a whole nother level up. Right. It takes a whole nother level of funding support to really succeed. It's more about the courts. But the good news is there's becoming a bit of a network of us. We all know each other well. We all work together, and we all know that what we're trying to do is move the major issues that are left in our various states and our various federal courts of appeals so that we can secure the right to arms for the rest of you. And with that, I thank you very much, and I thank CCRKBA for being Gun Rights Organization of the Year.